Well, hello and welcome to the Life After JDub live stream for today. Well, today we have an interesting character, and it will be interesting to how we find out about Paul, what he's got up to. We have some photos we're going to show as well, and we'll be interested in hearing Paul's explanations in one or two of them. And he's been around a long time, associated with the Jehovah's Witnesses. So let's bring Paul on and find out a little bit more about Paul. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, Shane. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. I know we've spoken on Facebook quite often, and it's good to speak to you in person. So welcome to the live stream. We're going to find out a little bit, well, maybe a little bit more than a little bit about yourself now that you're out of the J-Dubs and what you're doing and what led you to getting out and some of the steps and how you got associated with the J-Dubs. So let's start with there. How did you get associated with the J-Dubs?
Oh, well, I think like most J-Dubs, it wasn't really much of a choice for me. I had, my mother was... I guess you'd say a refugee. She went escaped communism from Hungary, went down to actually Yugoslavia. She was born but Hungarian. Landed in Tasmania, which is, I don't know how they even knew that existed, bottom of the world. But she struggled and suffered postnatal depression. So after me and my daughter and my sister were born, she was sort of on the verge of suicide. Was going to actually drive us off the harbour wharf and then the didn't, luckily, I guess for me. And the witnesses contacted her, and just that was 72, 71. And so just to put that all in perspective, because I wondered, how could my family, who are intelligent, fall for such a load of bullshit? They I swear, sorry. It was like, it's that normal story. There was 1975 was coming, all the woes would end. My mother was in a state of depression, very, very vulnerable. And so suddenly this, fantastic message was something that appealed. And my dad, who went from Catholic to atheist to then with mum, I think he just followed along to go, this is what I need to keep her under control. And even when he died, I had a few conversations just before he died. And it was like, he never had a strong faith in it. He just thought it was a good way of life. It was good for the family. So, I can sort of understand now that it's as the witnesses do, they prey on the people that are emotionally vulnerable. And that's always been their technique, I guess. And so I was sort of dragged up in it, or brought up in it. I enjoyed it, actually. I can't say my upbringing was bad or, there's the things you miss out on, but there's the other things you gain in return. So, it was a fairly decent upbringing, apart from the fact that if you don't believe it, you're going to be cast aside.
Yeah. Okay, so you got dragged up in it. You got baptized?
Yeah, so I got baptized at the age of 16, which is, as you do when you're 16. And I mean, I was a real believer. And I was I read a lot of experiences about witnesses who had a really terrible time because no one liked them because they had didn't have a dad in the truth or something. My dad was the presiding overseer. We had I was sort of one of those sort of ones that had a really good experience. So I quite enjoyed it. But I always didn't really believe. I never really ever felt like I felt God's Holy Spirit or that I had a prayer answered, or it never felt like it made any sense that God was going to kill, billions of people. Like at school, I'm just like everyone else. I don't see why I'm more worthy just because, I got born into it or brought up in it. So there's all these things always in the back of my mind that I thought, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem right, which is why I then pioneered, thought that will help. I went to Bethel, that will help. I pray all the time, please give me faith. So, all the time I knew deep down that it was wrong, but, it's very hard to lose that family, lose that faith.
Fair enough too. Well, I just want to go to some of the photos before we move on. So who's this fella?
Yeah, so that was before I was a witness. That's when I was free and easy as a 1-year-old.
Ooh! So 1-year-old, blondie hair just about as long as what you've got now.
Yeah, I'll have to explain this hair later because it looks atrocious, particularly on this horrible camera here. But
and then we go up in age. Well, we go down in age by the looks, is it?
No, that's me, the tall one there. So not that tall, but I'm 19 years old then,
Yeah,
and that's going witnessing. So that was in Queensland, which is it's 31, 32 degrees, North Queensland there. It's funny actually because I'm in those terrible, atrocious 1990 clothes there, but in the tropics where you sweat like crazy with a tie. And I lived on Thursday Island for 6 months. And I used to have to go witnessing with a tie because
yes,
men have to have a tie and all that, even in the tropics. And I
yeah,
went for a interview at the bank, and I wore a tie to the interview. And the bank manager just looked at me as like, "What is wrong with you? Like people don't wear ties on Thursday Island. It's like you don't wear a tie to the in any role here. Why would you wear a tie? It's ridiculous." And I didn't get the job, but I thought it was crazy. Witnesses have this they think that they're presenting really well. When the world look at them and just go, wow, you're a bit nuts. And you have to wear a suit jacket, Thursday Island, which is absolute tropics. If you
yeah,
go
yeah.
to talk, so they'd be like sweating on the stage, looking absolutely atrocious. But, that's what this white American religion says everyone around the world needs to be like.
Oh, dear me. Now we're going down in age.
Oh,
Look at
yes,
those
that's
sexy
another
legs. Whoa.
knobbly knees there. That's another Thai witnessing episode there. That was my little outfit for witnessing.
And long sleeve shirts.
Yep, and long socks. That was Tassie though. That was about
Oh,
probably
that
10
was Tassie.
degrees.
Well, come up a bit in age, sitting on a wood pile. I hope you chopped that for your parents.
That's not wood, they're bricks. So
Oh, the bricks. Oh,
the congregation bought a block of land and then got all
yeah.
these old bricks, and then we would go there weekend after weekend and get the chisel and chisel all the mortar off because we were going to build a Kingdom Hall out of it. And then they said, "Oh no, we're not going to build the hall," and sold all the bricks. But I never got any money for all the bricks that I cleaned up for them.
Yeah, I never actually had to do that. Not bricks anyway. Oh, look at your hot rod.
Oh, that picture. So if
Yeah.
you've watched anything on Netflix for the last 2 years, everything's about the 1980s. There's so many throwbacks there, and they always have that bike there, the little Wheelmaster or the
Yep.
Roadmaster.
Yep.
Classic bike. I wish I could find it. I mean, I probably couldn't fit on it anymore, but it's a classic bike.
You think your mum's got it?
No. I don't know where it is actually. It's just a tip.
Disappeared. There we go. So that's your family as you grew up.
Yeah, so that's my dad at the age of maybe 42, so 10 years younger than me because I'm like 52. So I always expected to be bald, which is why I'm growing my hair just to prove that I still have it. That's my
Yep.
sister. My sister's in London. She's still an avid witness. Her husband is an elder. And then my mum moved to Hungary, to Budapest, to try and convert them over there. My father died of cancer. It's interesting, actually. I got blamed for his death because
What, your dad's deaf?
Yeah, he died of cancer, but he died of esophagus cancer, which comes from stress. So all the, when you have indigestion, it burns away, it goes up your esophagus. Eventually, it burns away the skin, and then the stomach cells go up and become cancerous because the stomach cells are in the esophagus. And so my family were like, well, you caused him all that stress getting this fellowship because he died about 5 years after I got this fellowship. That's your fault, which I think is pretty unfair because Dad was an introvert. And so my mum convinced him he's got to be a circuit overseer. He was literally the worst speaker in the whole of Australia on the circuit. Like I had people tell me, never heard a worse speaker. Now, over 20 years, he actually got a lot better. But when he first started, he was so introverted, so nervous. And it's like he was always stressed. And it was like my mother was like, introversion is selfishness. You got to become an extrovert. And so I'm thinking I'm not probably the main reason. He suffered from stress and that for his whole life. So he died at 64, which is sad because he never smoked. I never saw him drunk. I only ever had one lady in his whole life, my mum. He didn't never did anything dangerous, and then he still died at 64. So I think my philosophy now is you don't be too crazy, but you might as well enjoy life and relax. It's like there's no point trying to be something you're not.
Yeah.
Tragic hairstyle, see.
Quite a few people mentioned your hairstyle. There was one. There's one. Another one.
So that
Another
one,
one here.
this
Yeah, got
Wait Your
long
Bum,
hair there.
that's a cool name. So this photo there
Yeah.
is that's like 1992. So I'm 22 there. Oh, Michelle Taylor. There's a few Hungarian witnesses I know. We're all like a bit of a little bit. I think Hungarians have a very independent spirit. So my mother was born in Serbia. My uncle's Serbian, and the Yugoslavs love to congregate, but the Tasmanians tend to be a little bit more independent and different. But yeah, so this photo here is
Yep.
I was actually in Bethel then, and when I went to Bethel, like every single person wore white shirts.
Yes.
And I don't know why, but I just like really colourful, happy sort of stuff. So I had a lot of floral and paisley and colourful stuff like that shirt there. And there was like it was frowned upon, and I was sort of talked to about it, but there was actually nothing in any of the rules going you have to have a white shirt. And so I'd wear that, and you go down to the laundromat there because they clean. You stick all your clothes in a bag and they clean them. You have like numbers on everything. They actually sew. It's like being in prison. They sew numbers on every single item. And you go down and they're like, we don't really need your numbers because you can just see there's a whole rack of colourful shirts and everything else is white. And then by 3 years later when I left, there was all the young guys and there's a lot of construction workers and that. Suddenly everyone's just like being a little bit more free-spirited. But the Bethel elders hated that. Oh, you know Sasha, yeah. Sasha came in just as I was leaving, and now we're great friends. He's the nicest guy I've ever met. I mean, Sasha talking there.
We got a comment which I'm going to agree with. How dare you stir and be a rebel in the Bethel?
Oh, I have so many stories at Bethel, and the thing is, I never actually felt that I was doing anything rebellious. Like, I had a windsurfer, and they made me. I had to get up at, can't remember, some stupid hour. I'm not a morning person, so they put me in waitering, so I'd have to get up earlier than everyone, and so then I'd finish at like 3 p.m. So I got my windsurfer and I took it down and windsurfed on the lake at Bethel. It's sort of like a sewage system or something.
You have a picture of your windsurfer here. There you go.
Yes. That's not at Bethel, but yeah, I used to windsurf. So I was windsurfing, and they were furious because all the other Bethelites are there printing and doing whatever they do, cleaning the building. And I was out there windsurfing, so I got in trouble for that. I got in trouble for they had to rebuild the gate, so you had to get out and go to the other one and unlock it. And then there was like a footpath though that didn't have a gate, so I'd come and drive along the footpath, so I didn't have to get out the car and unlock the gate. I got massive trouble. I actually had a Bethelite who was the gardener said, if you have killed one of my plants, I will, I can't remember what he said, something like kill me. I actually had another Bethelite want to kill me, like say he was going to kill me. Nice. Yeah, Alan Sparns Maria, everyone would call him Sparnsy behind his back, and I didn't know, I'd only been there a month. Yeah. And he walks past, goes hi, and I go, hi Sparnsy, and he just grabbed me. He's like, don't ever call me Sparnsy again. And it's like, I'm Alan Sparns Maria to you. So there's a lot of real tension and arrogance at Bethel, I found, and I was too free-spirited for it.
He just didn't like your flowery shirt showing his gardens up.
You know what I did to him? Because he was a bachelor in his 40s, so I printed off my little university thing, and I just changed the name to just Alan Sparns Maria, and then I changed it from Bachelor of Commerce to Bachelor of Bethel, and just left it on his table.
Oh, you little stirrer! I love it. Okay, so that's obviously before you went to Bethel.
Yeah, so that's in Hobart. So I got baptized. I think it was the 6th of September, actually, a couple of days ago.
You remember it? Okay.
Yeah, so that's like spring, but spring there is like 12 degrees or something. So it's freezing, and they didn't heat the water. The water was freezing, and I'd expected, I don't know why, I'd expected that when you get baptized, it's like with Jesus, the doves come out and that. So I thought I was going to like go down and I'd be cleansed and all this. So I thought there'd be this like religious moment. So I was going to go down, they hold you down for 10 seconds or whatever, and you have this moment, and you come out, get in there. I just about die from how cold it is. The guy just goes boom like that. Like I barely got my head under and I'm back out. And it's like, all right, go. And I'm like, whoa, what's happening? And then I went back to the toilets to change, and some guy there had just taken an almighty dump. And so it's just like stunk. And I was just like, this is so miserable. Here I was expecting to feel finally the faith and revolutionized by God and everything. And all I can remember is freezing and then just having to put up with this incredible smell while I'm getting changed back into my suit.
So do you remember who baptized you?
I can't remember. I remember that he got this fellowship like years later for running off with a sister half his age.
Okay.
Can't remember his name. But that other woman there, Esme Valant, who had the towel for me, she was pioneered her whole life. She was single, and at the age of about 40, she had a Bible study with this man, and he was a Korean war veteran, and he was an alcoholic smoker and everything. And she was studying with him, and then she ended up having sex with him and got this fellowship. And so the congregation was horrified that all the brothers wanted her because she was like a spiritual pillar or whatever. And then she goes off with this guy who is just the opposite of anything a witness should be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very sad story. I feel sorry for her, but I guess for her, shit from the start. I guess for her, yeah, it's something different than that what she's been brought up as. But she's still alive, and I met her at my father's funeral, and it's so sweet.
Okay.
And the husband since died. But there's just so many stories where I feel sorry for Jehovah's Witnesses who are really, really nice, but just haven't achieved their true potential. That side of things. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Now that must have been.
That's literally 3 years ago. So what happened? I went from being a witness where you had to have your little short hair and your suit to now I'm in a corporate job where client-facing corporate job selling software for a massive company, and so I had to have a suit, but at least I don't have to have a tie. And so I always had my short hair. So then when I with COVID, and now I train salespeople, I don't actually meet customers. I'm really like, I'm not going to cut my hair. And they're all like, it's like, it's corporate still, but it's like, it doesn't really matter. So even in the corporate world, there's still this sort of these restrictions that don't make any sense to me. But I have been just clubbing all the time. So I went through quite a phase when I left. So about 40, I just started to do what I should have done at 18. And this is really relevant, I think, for most witnesses. If you don't go through that normal process of growing up, and that normal process of deciding, shouldn't I smoke, or, what's my sexuality, or should I get an education? What's the career I want? All those sort of things. When you leave, then you go back and go, well, did I get into the right career? And what do I really think about smoking? Like, if I don't believe in Jehovah, does it matter if I smoke or not? Those things you should be deciding in your teenage years. But if you don't, then when you leave at whatever time, you start doing lots of stupid things, trying to work out, who you are, what you believe, or where your stand is on things. So I was lucky enough that because I enjoyed going out so much, all the people half my age dragged me along with them and showed me, a good time. And I guess that's why I'm so happy now, because I don't actually feel like I missed out on life. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, they leave. By the time they leave, they might be stuck with kids or family, or like they don't have good health, or they're too old to do anything, and it's just like, wow, I just missed out on my life. But I well and truly caught up and went way beyond, like in the last 10 years. So I don't have any regrets, I guess, about where my life came from.
So have you still got the dog? That's where you live.
That was my Tinder profile, because they say there's a dog there. People like you. It's not my dog, actually.
How did you go on Tinder? How did you go on Tinder?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, because as a witness, you learn how to speak to people. I had exceptionally good results. It's just because most people don't know how to be decent and interested in other people. So I with this, I'm down there, I can see the bridge and everything. So I'm really lucky. I've just ended up with a great life. I like that comment, being a teenager stunts normal development and confuse people. That this whole thing about being confused in a lot of areas, and one is sexuality. I've had friends at work. And it's like, oh my God, what is wrong with Jehovah's Witnesses? Like the different people they've known, different Jehovah's Witnesses, they're like, you're all so weird when you leave, and you have these really bizarre concepts of sex. And it goes, all of them. One guy's like, I know 3 ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and they all have like harems. They just think that's normal. It's like, even with being, whether you're gay or straight, I was always confused about that because people would think I was gay because of the way I act, but I'm not gay. But I think one of the things with the witnesses is this really bizarre patriarchal upbringing you get, where it's like men are the head of the house. You tell that woman, like, that you're the head and you're going to make the decision, and you got to be loving, but you have the ultimate decision. But on the other hand, it goes, all the works of the spirit works of the flesh are bad, so you can't be angry and you can't be tough and you can't be rough and shouldn't play physical sports and that. And it's like you got these poor guys that on the one hand told that they're the head, and on the other hand they're totally emasculated. And so there is so much confusion about just knowing who you really are, who you would be if you didn't have every single part of your life dictated as to what was right and wrong.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the next photograph. Bambino.
That's my little son. So that's like 13 years ago. He, it's actually an interesting story because as soon as I got this fellowship, so I never wanted a child, and I didn't expect to stay with my wife because we weren't, and I'm separate. I was divorced now, but we weren't really compatible. But it's like one of those things. You get married without knowing what you want or what you're doing or anything. Married like a lovely lady, but we just weren't good together. But when I got this fellowship, within like a couple of months, she fell pregnant and then had a miscarriage. So it was quite traumatic because we went to see the ultrasound, and the lady's doing the ultrasound and just looks at us. And I saw the look in her eye. I'm like, this is not good. Like there's something wrong. And she goes, look, I need to get the doctor. So she goes out. Doctor comes back and goes, there's no baby there. You've had what's called something miscarriage or something, like where the woman hasn't noticed. And I was like quite heartbroken, and I got no contact at all from any of my Jehovah's Witness family. So after like a few weeks later, I sent my mum and go, and this is only maybe 3 or 4 months after I've been this fellowship. It's like, where's your compassion? I was devastated because to me it was like, it's very traumatic for both the husband and the wife, father and mother. Yeah. And I'm like, where's your compassion? You couldn't even just send something saying, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, well, now you're a worldly person. Who knows? You probably would have aborted it anyway. So why should I contact you about it? So I'm like, I have so many horrific stories about the comments I've got from my mother over the years. But then it turned out for the best because, the miscarriage might have been that maybe the child wasn't that healthy. Whereas this Zach is just the healthiest, smartest, most beautiful little child you've ever met. So I ended up having, that was like 12 months later, just, really the best son you could ever imagine.
Yeah. You're just chilling there, aren't you? Where's your beer? Where's your long hair? Where's your flowery shirts?
So that's a very professional, business professional. And to think that that's not good enough to be a Jehovah's Witness, because I'm missing the tie. You got to have that tie.
Yeah, you do.
I don't have a real issue about ties because ties are like completely irrelevant. So Witness is all about not following being slaves to fashion, but ties are just a total slave to fashion because there's no use. It just feels really uncomfortable, costs a fortune. The fashion industry changes them every year. So whatever you wear this year is out of fashion next year. And the Witnesses have to wear a tie. It's just like it makes zero sense.
All right. Tell us about this one. You look really nice on the end there with the long hair. I'm sure you dressed up like that. This
Which
one here.
The one on the left or the right?
This one here, the shorty. That's you, isn't it?
No, I'm the one with the green hair. This one, I really, really made up for lost time. And it's really interesting that because I was, and I've asked people about why was I invited to so many things.
Yeah.
Because I was like a child, a 40-year-old child, but not judgmental at all. So I don't judge anyone. Like as long as somebody treats other people respectfully, I don't care what you think or do, whatever. It's all about, you work out what's right for you. Yeah. As long as you're decent to everyone else. So I got invited by all different people that I've worked with that had the most unusual lifestyle choices and got invited to a lot of exclusive clubs, exclusive boats, and I lived the billionaire lifestyle without having to pay for it.
That's
Over
handy.
the last few years. And so this was a person from work who was into a very alternative lifestyle. Got invited to this Halloween party. So I just had like heaps of fun. My friend there, she's transitioned, was married to a sister in the congregation, and now transitioned.
Okay. So which one are we talking about? The one in the checkered or the one in the dark blue?
The taller one.
Oh yeah, the checkered one.
Very good friend of mine, and just amazing person actually. So, but again, it's like coming from being a Jehovah's Witness to going is wondering about how people are going to accept you.
Yeah, you've had some fun. Now, why can't I move on? That looks like, no, I'm missing the other baby that you've got, and I can't get there. Now, where is it? It's run away on me. We'll have to come back to it. So we'll just take that down for a moment until I work that out. Okay, so I can't imagine. You need to go and have a hair dye after this and see what fluoro green looks like in your long locks.
It was fantastic. I did enjoy that. I get a lot of when I dress up with all the Halloween stuff and all of those things. I just love it like a kid does. It was amazing as a witness growing up that my mother would always go, "You're worldly people don't enjoy those holidays. Christmas is the most depressing time of the year for people, and people don't like birthdays because they never like the presents they get. Everything was like, it's so terrible being a worldly person." And having a son and then getting into that was just amazing. Like the absolute joy on his face, getting presents. I was like had more joy than him. I'd normally rip all the paper off before he could get to it. And having the Christmas tree. When we have Halloween, every year get like massively dressed up. I'm lucky that the street I'm in Des Moines is one of the biggest Halloween streets in Sydney.
Oh, is that right?
Thousands of children walking up and down trick-or-treating, and there's like just all the houses are really done up. And I'm like, I just absolutely love it. It is just so much fun. It's not pagan. No one's thinking there's ghosts are real and they're going to come and get us or whatever. It's simply just fun, and I love being able to sort of do that and really get into it and enjoy it.
Now, talking about birthdays, you were telling me about you had an interesting way to celebrate a birthday without celebrating a birthday.
Yes. So I when I got engaged, we ended up getting married on my birthday, because that was like one good thing is I knew I'd never forget my marriage date and get in trouble for that. But the other thing is, like, as witnesses, for some reason you're allowed to celebrate your wedding. So wedding anniversary. So I thought every year I can have a secret birthday party on my birthday by calling it a wedding anniversary. And then I celebrated when we separated by the documents that we signed. Was my official separation was on my birthday exactly 20 years later. And then I went out, and to celebrate that, I bought this car as well on my birthday as well. So the only problem now is I have to pay for all the registration and insurance on my birthday. But
now, talking about cars, Sasha wants to know something.
Sasha?
He said, "Hey, Paul, have you got the classic pic of you at the front gates of Bethel when you were in the Mustang?"
Oh, I did. I went out there. I've been out there a couple of times, actually. I took Zach out. I wanted to take Zach through. And then I went out with Sasha and Lloyd and that. And I did a bit of a burnout in front of Bethel. So I'm so immature. Like, I feel really ashamed of myself. But
be fun. Have fun.
I can't help myself. I used to have a 300 ZX, which has had the Target top. And I drive past drive past the Kingdom Hall when I first got this fellowship, playing a Rage Against the Machine song, which is blah, 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 beep, 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 I won't do what you tell me. So I feel really like I'm quite pathetic sometimes, but it's my way of feeling like I have a little bit of control. But yeah, this car is just incredible. I've got it hotted up as well. So it's got 360 kilowatts and fantastic for doing burnouts and sliding around and everything. And I actually got the 300 ZX when I was still a witness, and I used to go witnessing, and the people are just like, how can you buy a two-door? Well, normally I wouldn't tell it to your face. They gossip about you behind your back. And people come and tell me. It's like a witness doesn't buy a two-door. Like, they don't have any respect for like the requirements of going witnessing and that.
That's right.
Mm.
Not allowed 2 doors. No. Now, here we go. Here's an older picture of your son, Zach.
Yeah, that's like 3 years ago. So he's half Filipino, and yeah, really just inherited the best qualities of me and his mother. So I'm very impressed. And the thing is, my upbringing with him has been, I mean, it's not traditional, because for me, I feel really, really upset about being deceived and lied to my whole life. Like, to know that you've been deceived and then have to go out and find your own way is traumatic. So I determined, like, from the beginning, I would never lie to Zach about anything. I'd tell him the truth. Like, obviously, there's age appropriate ways of giving information, but because of that, he's like way more mature than most people. So I'd go out and because I just wanted him around, I'd go to parties and I'd take him along. And so a lot of my friends got to know him, and other parents are complaining about they're stressed out having their kids around. They don't want their kids around. He's been to like 10 countries or so.
Oh, really?
Even when he was little, I would walk for miles with him just sitting on my neck. I've got pictures of him sleeping that, but I just never used him as an excuse for not doing things. And because of that, he was super relaxed all the time. And I think just being honest with them and open, and that he's grown up to be having a very huge EQ, which has been really good.
Oh, that's good. Well, thanks to Sasha.
I didn't know Sasha knew about this. I was going to be on this. This is very good.
Well, let's just surprise everybody. Thank you, Sasha.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I did that. That's not very requestful.
Oh, dear me. What a perfect salute.
That was us doing that to Sasha, not to the witnesses, of course.
Oh, dear me.
I drove that car into Bethel. It was really amazing. It was quite a trippy experience, actually, because we went there and we went in, and because it's a long time since I've been in Bethel, no one recognized me, because I'm like trying to hide, because I'm like, if they recognize me, maybe we'll all get kicked out. So then when we're like halfway through the tour, then suddenly I start bumping into people that knew who I was, and then you could see they were like super freaked out. And there's a few sort of well-known apostates from around the world were there. So by the time you got out of it, the whole Bethel, there was people around, and they were refusing to talk about things and getting very, very upset about it. But it was surreal going through there and seeing it after so many years.
Yep.
It's very hard. Like, it's very traumatic as well. Like, brings back all these memories. But I'm at the point now that none of that really worries me anymore. It takes a long time to move on and get over it.
Yeah. Well, you've led a pretty exciting life by the looks. What sort of things did you do once you got out? Once you got disfellowshipped, what sort of things leading up to the things you're doing now did you end up doing?
So I actually got this fellowship for not doing very much other than being an apostate. But there's pretty well nothing that I haven't done since getting this fellowship. Like, I've literally tried everything, and I'll explain why later. But now I've sort of got to the point where I sort of know who I am and I know what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like, I enjoy life, but I'm normal, I guess, and sensible. But I want to say it fairly sensible. Actually, every time I travel, my son is just like, "Don't be stupid, Dad. Like, if you die over there, I'm going to come over, dig you up, and kill you again." But
well, there you go.
But when I was in Hobart, we were building the Kingdom Hall, and we had to make the seats. And I said something, and there was a guy that had just been baptized. He'd been, he's 30 or something, had been converted and recently baptized. And he goes, "Your opinions don't really count because you don't know anything. Like, you've always been a witness. You have no idea about what life is like." And that really, really cut me at the time. And it sort of put something in me that's like, I don't know anything. I've just been in this like little deluded world. I've been fed all this bullshit from the magazines that as I left, it was like, most of that's not true. So I really felt that I had to experience everything. So when I traveled, I will go to the poorest areas, the most dangerous areas. I've been lifted up by my throat a couple of times. I went witnessing in the Bronx, actually, just before I got this fellowship. I've been in Rio when I saw a person shot in the street in front of me. I generally, like, I just did so many things. I actually paid. There's in New York when crack was a really big thing. A girl wanted $2 for some sexual favors, and she said, and it's for crack. And I said, look, I don't really want the sexual favors, but I'll give you the $2 just to see you do crack. And then she took me into the Bronx, and when I got into there, I got mugged by these 3 guys, but she said I was okay, and I got out all right. So I really just went incredibly crazy to the other side. I've just wanted to go, I want to know what life's about. Everything I know is just wrong. I don't know what I know, and just want to see every lifestyle, everything that everyone does. And luckily I survived. Like, I really probably shouldn't have, but I've come out the other way, being able to be really non-judgmental and know who I am and know what's reality from what's not.
Yep. So you went through all those stages. You got through them pretty much because we can see you on the screen. For those ones
probably look about 10 years younger if I had been a bit more sensible.
Don't worry about that, mate. Just enjoy yourself. So one of the things that maybe some who have not heard about you was a website called jdubfacts.com. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really, really bizarre to me that I have a website. When I was leaving, it was actually the elders that built this website, basically, or the foundation for this website, because when I said I had doubts, the elders go, what they always do, pray more to Jehovah, which I'd prayed incessantly for decades, and just do some research. You need to do your study and really, really build your faith. So I went, I need to do some study. In fact, I've read everything they've just about ever printed. But what I haven't done is read the other point of view, like what is the other point of view. And so I started in the reasoning book, A for abortion or whatever was the first one. I'm like, wow, so this is what the Bible says about abortion, which is actually nothing at all. And then this is why some people think abortion's right. So I started researching. This is why some people think abortion's wrong. And I'm like, I have never really thought about this. So then I went to the next one and the next one, and I went all through all the subjects in the reasoning book, and I wrote down what I was finding. Like the Trinity, it's like a topic that it was just so obvious that everyone is wrong, the witnesses are only right, to going, oh my God, the witnesses actually lie about everything to do with the Trinity. They've never defined it properly. They've never talked about monotheism or dualism, or that there's 2 different types of Trinity. Like the Pentecostal Trinity is totally different than the Catholic Trinity. So everything, it was like I've been just deceived and lied to on every single topic, and also not given any of the facts. So I wrote a lot of that down, put a bit of it on the internet because I wanted my family and friends that I could direct them there. And I really wanted them to go, I'm not leaving because I want to do drugs or something. I'm not leaving because I want to be able to be immoral. It's like I'm leaving because I spent years doing an insane amount of research, and I'm leaving because I honestly believe this is the right thing. So I put the website up and got this fellowship for it. It was actually anonymous.
So how did they find out about you?
So I sent it to a really good friend who was also sort of wavering, and she was like reading through it, and her absolutely terrible husband caught her reading it and was like, I know that must be Paul. So he sent a message, how dare you do something. He sent me some scripture about deceiving his wife or something. He goes, I am not afraid to fly up to Sydney and show you what I really think about you. And then he reported me to the elders. And so it's funny because it was anonymous. They couldn't prove it was me. So they got an expert in websites in to trace my domain name and then go through. And even then they couldn't find my name, but they found a post office box that it was registered under that was was linked to something else. And they went to so much trouble just to prove it was me. Thanks, Michelle. That's good to read. And I'm like, when I'm sitting in the judicial committee, it's like, I'm not going to tell you whether it's mine or not. You're like, I mean, you're a cult, obviously. If you look at the Lifton's criteria, you suit every single one. Let me go through it. I'm in the judicial committee going, these are the 8 criteria for a cult. And Lifton, look at this. You have to admit you actually fit every single one of these. And so it's like, if why do you need to know if it's my website? And they were just completely obsessed with, they needed to prove it was my website. So eventually, like, yeah, all right. Once they came up with all this evidence that they'd done, it's like, yeah, of course it's my website. And the funny thing is, they go at the end of the meeting. So I didn't go to the first meeting. So this was when I contested it, or whatever you call it, sitting there with 6 elders. So at the end of the meeting, they go, all right, so we're going to hold the initial decision and you'll be disfellowshipped. And I'm like, aren't you supposed to pray about it? Like, it looks to me like you've had a preconceived idea. Like, I think you're supposed to, like, talk about it and have me out and talk about it. But they already knew that I was going to be disfellowshipped. There's no way I could talk myself out of it.
Are you glad you weren't able to talk yourself out of that?
Oh, no, I mean, if I hadn't been disfellowshipped, I told them this. It's like, if I'm not disfellowshipped, no one knows this website. There's a couple of, maybe 10 people a month come to it. It's not promoted. There's no name on it. If you don't disfellowship me, I really want to keep my relationship with my family. I'll just drift away. I'm not going to talk to any witnesses.
Yep.
I'm not going to make any trouble, but at least I can meet up with my family. But if you disfellowship me, I've got nothing to lose. So I would go all out to make sure everyone, as many people as I can know about this, know about it. And so it was great. Like, and when I'm leaving, one of the elders actually left the room because he goes, I can't hear this, because I was talking about the future. This is what the future for the Watchtower is, because Armageddon's not coming, and this is what's going to happen. And the belief in paradise is meaningless if the end never comes. You're better off going to heaven. So these are the doctrines that have to change. This guy walks out, and when I go to the car park, he's like, I couldn't listen to that because I haven't spoken. He's a secretary, so I haven't spoken to my son for years because he's disfellowshipped. It was all just too traumatic listening to you speak. But the thing is, I got disfellowshipped, and then I went to Help for Leather on the website, and it's had millions and millions of unique users visit it. And what I've done every 5 years, I send to that woman's husband who he left her. She left him, actually. I send him a message, and I send the elders that disfellowshipped me that I found on LinkedIn a message going, this is how many people have visited my website because you disfellowshipped me. The original guy goes, I'm really grateful that you it made me achieve what I wasn't brave enough to achieve, and that's leaving and helping other people know this is a cult. So just give them a reminder every 5 years.
Well done. Perfect present. So I know a lot of people have been helped by this page, and then not that long ago you added an extra feature to jdubfacts.com. Little red button. The support side of things.
The which one?
The support side of things.
Oh yeah, that's a totally new site. Yeah. So what was happening? I get like an incredible. I've actually removed all the email addresses from my site now because I just I was always stressed about it because I couldn't keep up with all the emails, and I've had this OCD about I need to answer every email, and people would be like, send me emails going, I want to commit suicide. There'd be all sorts of things. There'd be, I'm going through a divorce custody case. I need your help legally. Can you send me the documentations and the argumentation and all that? And then I'm like, I'm like, my family members in hospital, and the elders want them to have blood transfusion, and I need you to provide me with, what's my alternative? I mean, what's my the way forward to stop the elders? And it's like, I'm not like an expert in all of those things. And I can't just be answering emails all the day, providing legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's why I sort of ended up getting rid of the email address, and I point them to the forums where there's a lot more people that have a lot more skill sets than me. But one thing that was really disturbing to me is there's a lot of teenagers that were suicidal sending me messages, or they want to leave home, or they run away from home, or they get kicked out of home and they live on the streets. And I'm like, I don't have to me, it's very risky when a kid who's 14 would email me at jdubfacts and say, I want to leave home. Can you recommend how I do that? I'm like, what sort of ethical and legal problems am I going to get into if I say anything? So I'd always be like, you need to consider the laws in your country, and at your age, you're a dependent, so you need to stay at home, but think about, preparing for the future and setting yourself up. So eventually I thought the better thing would be is to have a properly prepared site that goes through all those issues, have different people, that know about those things, read some of the articles, proof them, and then have links to proper sites, so suicide support lines and how to get financial assistance or domestic violence assistance, all those sort of things. So I have somewhere where I don't keep spending an hour writing an email to every single person. I can write that more professionally once, and people will be directed there, and then they can be directed to proper trained people that know how to help them.
Yep.
I love that site. It's so much fun because I'm interviewing. I got a bunch of millennials in who millennials are old now. I should have got some Z-Gen, but they talking about like jdubfacts is so incredibly boring. Like if you want to look at the disfellowshipping article, you'll be reading it an hour later, and there's 50 million quotes on that. And yeah, people under 25, they don't want to know about any of that sort of stuff. So with the articles on JW support, when I talk to these people, it's like if it's more than 5 minutes, we're not going to read it. It's like, so basically these are the sound bites. Like these are the 4 main reasons that disfellowshipping is wrong. These are the, you know, one quote to show this is what disfellowshipping is. So to shun someone, not eat with them, not even your family. There's that 1 or 2 key quotes, not 25 quotes to support it. So if you want to do you know, if you want to do proper research, and you know, if the media wants to research something, sure, jdubfacts is there. But if you just want the key points on why each of these doctrine is wrong, in 5 minutes you can have the main key points and a quote or two to sort of fix it up there. And also young people. I've done some videos, and they're just fantastic fun when I'm interviewing these 20-year-olds and their view on life, and that's, you know, it's definitely good fun.
Yeah. Michelle says that she takes it to TikTok.
Wow. Oh yeah, I mean, goodness me, I can't believe all these witnesses that are on there. Like witnesses, I've never seen jdubfacts on TikTok. I'm gonna have to look. I just think it's hilarious. There's witnesses posting on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and everything, and it makes me. I can't look at it because I get so triggered by witnesses going best life ever or whatever, and they're standing outside.
Yeah. So it was good that you did that, thanks to the elders' suggestion to do your research.
It was so horrible. That whole experience really traumatized me. When I had one of the second meetings with the elders, with just 2 elders, you know, so they can't disfellowship you, and I'm just like, I can't accept that Jehovah's Witnesses are the only ones that are going to survive. And this young guy, he's in his 20s, he's an elder, like 28 or something year old elder, had never been anything but a witness, and he just goes, but every worldly person deserves to die. Every worldly person is evil. It's like, just look at the Nazis. Like everyone in Germany became a Nazi. That's what every single person in the world is like. They all deserve to die. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, you're so arrogant and so ignorant. Like I can't help it. Witnesses are arrogantly ignorant because they're forced not to be able to examine all the both sides of the story, and yet think that they're the only ones that know anything. It just horrified me. And I got home drunk one day. I'd been out at a work function, come home, I've got a party at home, and these 2 elders, because they couldn't get hold of me, at 9 o'clock rocked up on my door. It's dark outside. I opened the door, and I just went off at them. I was unusually aggressive, calling them blood transfusion denying murderers and all this sort of stuff, and don't ever come around or I'll get the police onto you. And I think that was definitely the nail in the coffin.
Okay, so those are some of the things you've been able to do since leaving. What are some of the things you want to look forward in the future to doing?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think with COVID coming along, it's made a lot of people re-examine their priorities on that. Like I've got to the point now, I've got a wonderful little son. I've got this, very close with him. And I've got a girlfriend who is just amazing, just pure, just like completely trustworthy. And, you know, again, when I left the witnesses, I was terrified that worldly people, I can't trust anyone.
Yep.
It's actually funny because when I went to this professional job, I'm like, no one's having sex. Like I really thought that, the CEO would have sex with the receptionist, like in the boardroom. I thought that was just a thing. Like people were like, your understanding of wealthy people is really, really, incorrect.
Yep.
And so now I have this girlfriend who is like, I literally trust 100%. Like it's just, it's incredible. And she's very sweet and fully accepting, not trying to change me. It's like, so I've got that part of my life really under control. And before, like
Yeah.
with my mother was about, if you don't have your value, your self-value is how many friends you have. And that's why being a witness is great, because you have 100 people in the congregation that have to pretend to like you because,
That's right.
Christians are known by the love amongst themselves. So you can't possibly pretend not to love everyone. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
now I'm like, I don't care if I have any friends or not. It's like, I am who I am. And
Yeah.
I do have friends, but it's like, I got my son, I got my girlfriend. That's all I need. And then I have all these lovely people like Sasha, who threw me under the bus there. Lots of other lovely people that are my friends, but it's not like I'm worried about it or judge myself on it or anything. So I've got a really relaxed life. I've finally gotten financially stable,
Nice.
and then I don't really have anything to prove. So it's like eventually I'll retire. I'll settle down in a warm place in Queensland or something, and just enjoy life now without all that stress and expectation and you got to do more and you're not doing enough. And then with my website, I keep on working on that, but you got like Lloyd and all these other websites out there. You got the forums and everything where they're doing everything they need to do. So for me, I don't feel pressure from the website, but I really enjoy it. I enjoy
Good.
hearing from people, and so I enjoy updating it. But I do it because it's not I have to achieve something or I have to save the world. It's because I know it's been good and I just want to, I enjoy adding a good quote here or there or an interesting new article or like videoing something. I shouldn't say a fantastic video. I had a fantastic time doing a video with Sasha and Sherry about women. And it's just so enjoyable, like to be able to just discuss an article and not have to worry about any pressure, but just to sort of go through, watch the information. Now that it doesn't really upset me, and just be like, just you can't help but roll your eyes every couple of quotes. It's like, what's wrong with the people that write the articles? Like these crazy old white men that write these articles that are they literally think they're still in the 1800s. They think they still are Russellites, where they just believe that this very patriarchal society and wearing your little ties and much stuff and having the dress below the knees and everything. And it's like they write it, but what's wrong with people that they actually believe it? Like, how the hell can anyone believe that stuff? It's just beyond me. But it's good fun doing all of that. So now what I'm doing is just enjoying life and doing it a bit more sensible but not feeling the weight of expectation to have to prove anything or do anything.
Yeah. So looking back on your life since getting this fellowship to now, would you say there's one thing that's helped you the most to get where you are now?
I guess so. It's a lot to do with attitude. So I have a positive outlook, which people are often born. I think it's sort of partly genetic. But I did when I was very depressed. Like I went through post-traumatic stress when I was this fellowship. I spent 10 years from when I left Bethel and I knew it was all bullshit to when I got this fellowship was 10 years later because I didn't want to lose my family and I still hadn't done the research. So I felt it was wrong, but I didn't logically know it was wrong. And so I was still afraid that worldly people are evil and I'll commit suicide because I'll have nothing to live for and all that. So I really went through post-traumatic stress there. And then I went and did cognitive behavioral therapy. And that really helped to be able to just put things in perspective. And I think everyone, whether you can get the government like I did to pay for it or whether you just read a book on it, but just to understand that you can change the spiral of where your mind is going. So with losing contact with my family, some witnesses are just that becomes the whole focus on their life. It's like I'm so hard done by, I'll never get to pick myself up again. It's so terrible, and it is terrible, and you are hard done by. But with cognitive behavioral therapy, you reason out though that other people lose their children, lose their family, they don't have a family, they work out a way to get through life. It's like, or at some point your family will die of old age and you don't have them, but I'm still alive and I'm still enjoying life. And so to not become overwhelmed with just how badly my life was and how evil the Watchtower is and all of that, just to keep it in perspective and to go, life is short, life is beautiful. life is also tragic. So let's just appreciate it and enjoy it every day, and accept that there's going to be hardship and there's going to be good things, but never to lose appreciation for it, and not to concentrate on woe is me because my mum doesn't talk to me. It's like, that's terrible, but it's not. That shouldn't be your focus. Your focus needs to be that I can survive like other people do without that. I can rebuild my life and move forward. And now I know, actually, after reading about narcissistic parents on subreddits and everything, it's like, I'm actually lucky I got this scholarship, because otherwise I would still be in the clutches of some family that really were controlling and negative, and I couldn't become, by myself. And there's a book by Joseph Campbell, The Hero Within, and all the religious books, like all the different religious works around the world, you always have the hero, which is like Jesus, the son who has to break away from his family and go set himself up. And there's always, you have to get away from being under the wings of your family. And so I probably couldn't have, because my mother's so controlling. Being this fellowship allowed me to do that. So it's like, it's not all bad. I would much rather, there's some people at work I know that just have wonderful families. They've grown up normally. Everything's normal. They're happy. It's like, that would have been ideal, but there's not many people have that. So stop whinging about the witnesses. Help people understand how traumatic it is. Try and help people. Try and stop people going in is even more important, I think. But then move on and just have some fun and enjoy life while you can.
Yeah. So just go. You mentioned in that little bit you were talking about, you went to therapy. What was that again? What sort of therapy?
So there's a couple of different things. So you can go to a psychiatrist. So there's also different sorts of therapy. So people normally think of therapy as you sit there with a psychologist and pay a couple $100 every week for the rest of your life, and you lie there on a couch and talk about all the trauma from your past. So that's like an old-fashioned form of therapy, and I don't really agree with that, because what you're doing is just bringing up over and over and cementing in your mind how terrible everything is. Cognitive behavioral therapy is proven scientifically to work. It rewires how you think. So because it's proven to work, the government, Medicare in Australia, will pay for you to go, if you get a GP referral, to have, I think it's 8, you can have up to 8 sessions where Medicare covers it. And it's simply, like when I went, the guy didn't really care about me being a witness or any of my background, like talked about it a bit, but it's more about what is it that's just going around in your brain? What is it that's making you stressed? Let's think about that point. Think about why you find it stressful, but think about all these other ways you can think about it and other positives. So just a way of, as soon as you start feeling negative about something, to go, no, I'm going to think about it in another way. So that just keeps you positive. So that one, I think I'd recommend it for anyone to do that, but particularly if you're struggling with, from trauma, or say religious trauma or any other trauma, just to not let yourself get into that negative spiral. So then there's also, obviously, there's a totally different form of therapy where if you have bipolar or any sort of mental illness, you may need to go to a psychiatrist. You may need medication and that. So that's something else. Like cognitive behavioral therapy doesn't fix chemical illnesses, but it does just help you not think negatively. How to get out of that spiral of pulling yourself down and think positively. So there's nothing weird about it. The witnesses, I don't know, because I don't like people going to psychologists and that. So people feel, as a witness, you feel like going to a psychologist is like going to a witch doctor. You don't know what you're going to come out like at the end of it. But there's nothing weird about CBT, so it's very recommended, because it's simply just going, don't dwell on all the negative stuff. Dwell on the positive stuff, and you will just have you'll be happier day to day. So I think everyone could benefit from that.
Yeah, definitely. Therapy is a good thing. It was like totally frowned on in the JW. You don't go there. That's what our elders are for. Whatever. They've not got any training. Now my silly phone is going off. Shut that off.
I mean, some of the crazy things that the elders say when people are going through certain situations, it's just there's absolutely no training. There's a little bit in the, you can read the elders manual and it will give you, a couple of bullet points, but you can't determine illnesses and you can't determine trauma. You know how to do things about trauma. That, Michelle, we used to call it the PASS, Prayer Association Service and Study. So that was how to get through the new system. just a lot more prayer, a lot more study, and then hang out with other witnesses, and then go witnessing, and then everything's fine.
Yeah, of course, that's going to help. Not.
So the other one was like, what was it? SAP. So the way to keep a tree healthy, same way to keep a witness healthy: study, associate, and pray.
I never heard that one. Is that an Australian thing?
No, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
So if somebody was sitting on the fence, if somebody was questioning, if somebody was just about off the fence, what bit of encouragement would you give them?
I mean, I had a real issue with my website when I first did it, that I was really worried that if I tried to influence someone, what if they have a worse life? Like, what if somebody is struggling as a witness, read my website, leave, and then just tragedy happens? And so I always worried that I don't want to force anyone to do anything. So that's why with the website, it's like, hopefully people, normally, if you're a good witness, you're not going to read it. If you're a struggling witness and you're having doubts, you're already on the way out, then it's good to read the website and go move on. So I think if someone's sitting on the fence, they're already struggling. So if you're sitting on the fence, you already know something's wrong. It's that from that point forward, life is terrible as a witness. Like, you go to the meeting and you sit there and you go, I don't fit in. And then you hear people from the platform say all sorts of garbage that you know is just completely unrealistic. It's just soul destroying to do that. So if you're already on the fence, if you're at the point where you know something is wrong, then the sooner you get out of there, the better for the rest of your life. So the older you get, the harder it is to change careers, the harder it is to make new friends, all that side of things. Like, older people don't look for new friends because they normally got their friends. So if you're this strange 50-year-old witness, how are you going to get new friends? So the earlier you do it, the better. So don't do like me, drag it out for 10 years, but don't jump off the fence straight away either. Like, go, all right, understand that I have doubts, do the research, set yourself up, get yourself move out from your parents, or get a decent house, move to a different area, do whatever it takes. So you don't just jump out and not know what's below you. Just prepare for a nice slow exit that's on your own terms, but do it as soon as possible, because the longer you leave it, the more regret you'll have.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Well, I really want to say thank you for coming on to the live stream. It's been very enjoyable. Thank you also to Sasha, who sent us the saluting. Excellent. And it's been nice to hear some of your story and what you've done, the wild side of you and how you are now, what you've been able to do in the way of showing your authentic self.
Thank you. I just want to comment on bite your bum hard. I'm not disparaging older people, so not old people leaving, because I know lots of people that have left at any age. Like, I've known some in Australia, some older people that have left in their 70s, and they still go, I'm so glad I now have the opportunity to be true to myself. So I'm not saying don't leave at any age, but the earlier, then it's easier.
I had to throw you under the bus on that one. I had to bring that comment up.
So it's been great to talk to you. Hopefully I made some sense and I didn't embarrass everyone. I've always felt I had to have this very scholarly, very sensible, give that impression, because people read the website. They say Tomlin attack if you leave the witnesses, you'll be living in a gutter. I don't want people to think that, but at the end, it's nice to be able to be a little bit more open about who I am.
Absolutely. Well, it's been very enjoyable the last little hour and a bit, and thank you for coming on and letting everybody know some of your stories, some of the things you found beneficial and you've done. For those on the live stream, thank you for being here. It's been great to have you here, and for those who've put comments, that's made it quite entertaining, and it's nice to see a little bit of squirming on Paul's side of things. So until our next live stream, we hope everybody will have a safe time, look after yourselves, and we'll look forward to catching you next time. So until then, bye for now, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.